have a warm welcome to Jared from America.
Thanks. Yeah, you're right, Dan. I think too, I don't know if it was by design or what, but there's a lot of parallels between what the previous speaker said from Catalyx and some of the things that we're going to talk about, because if we, where is that thing? Because we too think about the idea that there's a difference between knowledge and insights, and really kind of challenging ourselves and our mindsets, as well as challenging technologies, especially with a lot of the rise in some of these agile or DIY platforms. I think we have the ability now that if we have those kind of principled thoughts in mind, we should be asking more of ourselves, asking more of our technology providers to actually help us do that better, rather than just kind of making it just principled, right? And you'll hear a lot of parallels as we do this. So today we'll talk about how we think about it in terms of leveraging tech and a slightly different mindset to start to quantify qualitative research. A lot of people have talked about that, but we'll talk about how to kind of do it properly just in the experience that we've had doing this with some of our clients. So first, some people say I'm not very creative because I've got the tortoise and the hare here. I'm not very visually creative, but it's important first to kind of acknowledge where we've come from as an industry. A lot of the top-level decisions we've made as researchers were to say, okay, to achieve set objectives, do I do quantitative or do I do qualitative? And they have their good and bad parts, right? This is a list, and you'll see positive and some not so positive adjectives on each one of these. Quantitative can be fast, but can also be shallow. It helps you be decisive in terms of that speed to insights. It can be very efficient. It can be objective. It can instill a lot of confidence as you present your results to stakeholders and try to inspire those decisions. Qualitative, on the other side, has historically been a lot slower. It's been very deep, though, so it contrasts well. It can be inspiring and engaging to an audience, but a lot of times it becomes tedious. So if I think about some of the underlying adjectives behind the calculation that Catalyx shared, a lot of these adjectives kind of come into play, right? There's the speed, there's the tedious, there's the value, there's the engagement. But you do need that knowledge and the insight to really inspire that or enable that decision that he was talking about. As it turns out, I am really creative because this is the image I came up with to say you can have the best of both worlds. But you really can. We've talked about this for a long time, right? This idea of you can have both quant and qual. You can have fast, you can have deep, inspiring and decisive, interpretive and objective, engaging and efficient, right? But you don't have to do all those workarounds that we've seen in the past, right? Where you do two separate studies or two separate groups of people that might not be like for like, or do a quant survey and then try to fill in the gaps with a couple of 10 or 20 second clips of people going, yeah, I agree with the quant analysis that you just presented to me, right? It can be a lot more rich and a lot more authentic than that. So imagine a world where you don't start with the survey. You actually start with these rich, engaging videos of moments or pictures of moments or experiences. So again, to the point that Catalyx made, it's not just necessarily about speed, because in this case, you might miss some of these moments. I don't know why that's choppy. That's not our technology, I promise. So what it is these moments happen naturally in life. And you need to be there for those moments. They don't happen within the 6 hours that you want your survey results. They happen at different times, and we'll talk about those. But the ability to start here, start with really observing and understanding a better picture of your consumers, rather than surveying them first and then backfilling with qual, is a great place to start. But then now imagine you can actually quantify those results as well. You can quantify the observations. You can quantify their emotions. You can quantify a lot of things about this, because now you're starting to get some of those positive attributes for the quant. The efficiency of analysis, the confidence, right? It's the no side of the equation, K-N-O-W, side of the equation, right? So imagine now you've got not only those videos that you started with, but you also have the charts that go along with it. So for example, how somebody likes a concept on the left. Or I don't know how many people noticed, but the guy that was eating the burger and the other one got mayonnaise on his face, right? You can quantify the percentage of people or percentage of occasions where somebody ends up with a particular condiment or piece of food on their face. Because you don't have to rely on a survey. You're starting with really rich observational insights from the start. You can do the same with things like in-store, where it's number of product facings, or maybe the speed it took them to find a new product on the shelf. So that when you are giving those insights and you are inspiring those decisions at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be two separate data sets. It doesn't have to be two stories that you need to spend extra time or money trying to piece together. It's all in one, because now you have that confidence standing up in the room to say, these are what the consumers do. This is how they behave. This is how they feel. And you have that colorful response to engage the audience and not just have them know data, but also have them get inspired to take action or make decisions internally. I hope you all went ooh, ah, and wow, right? Because this is actually what qual and quant means. It doesn't mean two separate things, or it shouldn't because of modern and good tech. So how do we do that? Through our experience, we've seen it happen with 4 principles, and I'll talk about each one of these a little bit more in depth, but I'll touch on them here. We've heard for decades the importance of a smart research brief. I won't talk too much about it, but it's going to be the thing that gets you in the right mindset to start thinking about things like the value of your time or the value of your research dollars. Second one is using a variety of methodologies, because moments don't happen in a focus group. Authentic moments don't happen when it's a conveniently scheduled time for your moderator. True, authentic, and genuine moments where you inspire product researchers or marketers to understand things at a deeper level happen on consumers' time. So being able to capture the variety of moments, whether it's a picture, a video, or in-store, or out-of-store, or anywhere else, you need to be able to leverage all of those points to capture. Point number 3 is optimizing your activity guides or your discussion guides. We still, to this day, get a lot of clients who will just throw us a bunch of open-ended questions and say we want videos of people talking about things. But if you're not thinking in some of the manners that we're going to talk about in the next few slides, you're going to start wasting your time. And back to that equation that you were mentioning earlier, you start to lose a lot of your time because you're not spending it smartly in the beginning, thinking about how it's going to be structured along the way and how you're going to use your time whenever things come in at the end. And then the 4th is just intelligently blending qual and quant to tell the right story. Because now that you have it in one place, you can actually do it in a way that's more engaging to your various stakeholders depending on their needs or their styles. So the first one's a thoughtful brief. Again, I promise we won't talk about this. I'm not going to get into all the details of what makes for a great brief. I'm going to take a slightly different spin on it because you'll see how as you're starting to change your mindset around what modern qual-quant hybrids should look like, it's important to call out a couple of key points. First, the objectives, I get it, everybody knows it, but if you think about them slightly differently now, you say, okay, well, what are those moments that I need to capture, right? Where do I need to be to maximize my ability to capture the things that are going to reveal objectives, right? It's not just a simple statement saying, I need to understand price sensitivity or I need to understand, if people are going to switch to my brand. It's a little deeper than that and say, okay, what is that? What does that mean so that I can put myself and my technology in the right place at the right time? Think about your segments, because if you have properly quantified data, you should just be able to cut your data just like you do with quantitative. It's that easy. It's not rocket science, but we still don't hear a lot of qualitative customers talk about the importance of it, and they are trying to do it manually or write things down. If you know it ahead of time, you can program it in and make the analysis much easier for yourself. The third is the analysis plan. This is where it starts to get really deep into the value of your time as an analyst. We still hear so many times about people having to watch hours and hours of videos or read hundreds of pages of transcripts just to find those small clips or small moments or get some layer of subjective insight, right? But if you're thinking about the idea that qualitative data can be properly structured, thinking about the analysis plan just like you would for quant makes a ton of sense, because you start saying, okay, what data points do I need? Not just what videos do I want to watch, but what data points do I need to manage my time efficiently on the back end as an analyst. And then, of course, the first one is the audience. This is really about your stakeholder audience, because you should know how they receive information, right? Is it going to be a video-heavy kind of report? Is it going to be a more chart-driven kind of report? People make decisions in a variety of ways. So put yourself in a position to actually deliver the value, not just capture the insights. The second point that I'd mention was using multiple methodologies to put yourself in that position to capture the insights. And those really come in two ways, right? The left side here is about where and when, right? I had mentioned before that not all moments happen in scheduled interviews or focus groups or anything like that. When you've thought about your objectives the right way, I don't know about any of you, but after a late night at the brew house next door, I would order fast food differently during the day than at night, right? These are the moments, and as you're thinking about the objectives and what you want to learn, put yourself in the position to be able to capture maybe mobile video as somebody goes through a drive-through. Or the example on the bottom here, around the dog. You have to be inside or outside. If you're trying to understand behavior or chewing habits or eating habits or dog behaviors, you need to have methodologies that work both inside and outside, or asynchronously, or photos versus videos like you're seeing on the right side. This becomes the what and the how of the equation. You shouldn't be limited by your technology because it's only an IDI platform or a focus group platform, right? It should give you the ability to do properly qualitative research by doing videos or pictures or share stimuli or shop online or screen share, anything that you need to be able to put yourself in the position to capture those moments, again, wherever and whenever they happen. Now, again, because you've thought through your research brief correctly, now you start thinking about that analysis plan. And here's where we start to see the most thoughtful piece come into play, at least in our experience, is stop thinking about qual as if it's just a bunch of videos or transcripts. Start forcing yourselves, your colleagues, your suppliers, your tech platforms to think about qualitative as data points. It's not videos anymore. If you think about what tech can do and how it can quantify things, think about the ability to mix in questions and tasks, for example, because now you can quantify what people do, not just how they answer. You can use closed-ended and open-endeds, right? You should be able to mix those into the exact same activity, exact same thing, depending on whether you want the kind of front-of-brain response versus some of that deeper response. Consider keywords of interest that are important to you, right? That's an easy one. You can spot keywords and find them quickly if you're telling the machine that you want to know things. Like, for example, if you're in that McDonald's example, you want it to look for maybe words like salty, because you've thought through your objectives and thought that's going to be a pain point with this new sandwich or new offering, right? So you can tell the machine to look for things for you. And I'd mentioned observation spotting already as well. That's the ability to quantify things like the percentage of time that somebody gets mayonnaise on their face whenever they eat. Okay? Other things that are kind of creative in mind too is duration of events. We do a lot of in-store where they want findability for new products on the shelf. Right? A simple quantification of how long did it take them to find that product, and then comparing it against some normative data for your category becomes extremely powerful, rather than just asking them questions about how they felt about it once they found it. Once you start thinking in that way around your qualitative, you now have a faster or smarter analysis plan. You don't have to watch the hours of videos. You don't have to read the pages of transcripts, because you should be able to go right to quantified charts that match exactly what your objectives are. You could search by questions. You should search by tasks, search by keywords or themes, right? This is where the smart structuring of qualitative data makes the promise of qual quant actually come to life. You can do the same by objects and scene, or certain activities that you want to focus in on for different objectives. So that now when you're analyzing and all that data comes in that structured way, imagine you're now able to fulfill that promise of the qual quant, kind of elusive term, because you're doing a quant-forward style of analysis that is quant-rich in terms of its context and its depth. Imagine now that you're the analyst, and instead of watching those videos, you first start with some charts. Base size aside, we're not here to talk about, 20 people, 60 people, 3,000 people. I'll leave that up to you and your budgets. But the point here is it's the efficiency of analysis, where you can identify the themes very quickly in a way that we're all trained on, the way that we're all comfortable with. This number's higher than the next. So what? What does that mean? Imagine you can just click on that chart and understand, well, why don't people love it? Or why do people love it? Or show me the clips where 80% of the people said salty, right? Imagine you just click on that now, and now you have your color. And your tech should be able to just save those to help you start building your presentation directly from there, so that you can drag and drop your quant charts in, drag and drop photos or videos in that help tell that story, because the data should be structured in a way that matches what you needed from it. And a lot of tech platforms tend to fall short in that area, which still leaves you with that poor return on time investment at the end. So now when you're creating that compelling story, you're doing exactly what I mentioned. You should be able to drag and drop and edit and add transitions and captions and all of the other things that help you tell the story to the audience in a way that's going to resonate with them. You shouldn't have to go into a separate software to do these things. These kinds of technologies aren't rocket science. It's just really your tech providers putting that in front of you because they know it's just helpful for you. So you don't have to learn a lot of different things or transfer data files around just to edit clips or put it into a montage or presentation. That's it.
Thank you very much, Jared.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a picture of you there climbing.
Yeah, I like to
Weekend
get really
activity.
fit in the summer.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any questions, comments, thoughts for Jared? Okay.
Mind blown, I think is what it was.
So you were showing some videos earlier on.
Yeah.
They from like real projects you've done?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. A lot of our clients, they're finding a lot of value in a more complete picture of a consumer by, say, following them along the entire journey, whether it's, ordering something at a drive-through and then pairing it with videos of them taking it home and eating it, so that they understand the entire process without having to leave different environments, and have that kind of mixed mode capabilities where then everything gets quantified, because of course you're increasing the number of videos and the amount of content, but you're not dramatically increasing the time you spend at analyzing it. So it's a really nice value exchange for a lot of our clients.
Got it. And I'll just kind of repeat the question that Dimitri asked previously to Guy. Is there sort of a general theme or trend in the kinds of challenges or objectives that customers come to you with?
A lot of them are similar to what I had just mentioned. We have a lot of product innovation and product renovation type situations, because I think a lot of clients are starting to think about the fuller journey of a consumer as far as their reaction to concepts, their previous history or usage of things or behavior or lifestyle elements, how that translates into their first moment of truth at shelf, and then their first usage experience, for example. We're getting a lot of clients ask if we can follow people in that journey so that they can properly understand at scale, so that they don't have to watch all of it, they can quantify it. Right? So we're doing that whole mixed methodology journey work a lot.
And then just one sort of final clarification, I guess, but maybe just for me, but it sounds very much sort of technology platform. Is this the kind of business that you subscribe to? Do you do it project-based?
Yeah. We do both. A lot of our routine clients, particularly ones that have gotten comfortable to lock their methodologies and scale them globally, will do subscription-based pricing just to get the scaled economies of speed, cost, global consistency, all of that. But then we also have ad hoc pricing as well. I'd say ad hoc pricing is probably 60%, 70% of the business.
I think no questions from the room, so thank
right.
you for coming all the way.
Thank you,
and
guys.
sharing with us.